doing? So, I love talking to football lifers. And, for me, number 31 comes to mind, right? Being a Cowboy fan, or just a football fan in general, this guy played with all the heart, tenacity that you want. I'm with George Teague. How you doing, sir?
Man, it's great to be here, brother. I appreciate it, man.
Yes, sir. Yes, sir. You're a football lifer, man. But I just got to ask you, before you got into your pro days, young George Teague, who were some of your favorite football players?
I wanted to be a running back when I first came in, so I always thought I wanted to be Roger Craig, and things of that nature. But then as I evolved and became a safety, I wanted to be Steve Atwater. He was bringing the wood, he was hitting, and that was kind of my drive.
So, obviously, let's fast forward. High school, then you go to Bama.
Yes, sir.
I mean, Prism Tide, we know the history, everything is there. So I'm going to put you on the spot with this one, and this is going to be tough. I do this thing called Mount Rushmore. If you did Bama football on Mount Rushmore, we're going to make it right. I'm pretty sure you're going to put Bear Bryant in that Mount Rushmore, right?
Oh, yes.
Okay. So, you know what? No, let's not put the coaches. So, no Nick Saban, no Bear Bryant. I need 4 players. If you had to do the Bama Mount Rushmore to represent Bama football, who would be your 4?
All right. The first guy I'm going to put on is Derek Thomas, linebacker. He's a legend. He influenced me. I didn't necessarily play with him like that, but he was right there before me, and I saw how he interacted with the team and just the type of player that he was. Okay. Secondly, I think I'm going to go with Mika Fitzpatrick. True baller, man. Just could play. I guess I'm a little selfish towards defensive backs. For some reason, I don't know why. And then someone that actually changed the game and actually helped the university in a different way would be Walter Lewis. He was the first black quarterback out there. So that you can't, take light of that piece. Last person I'm going to put, Derrick Henry, man. Let's go.
Why not? The linebacker playing running back.
That's right. There's so many guys, man. The history, and particularly as of late. I know I didn't go all the way back into the 30s, 40s, 50s. There's some guys that are probably well deserving of that. But just what Nick Saban has been able to do with the team over the past few years, and the guys that he's created, it's just been outstanding.
Like when you look at the NFL, Bama has a lot of guys. You talk about the Derrick Henrys, Mika Fitzpatrick, Julio Jones, the list goes on. Now there's a new regime in Alabama. How do you feel about that? Because this team they got some guys. They got some guys over there. We're talking about Milroe. He's coming into his own, right? You got the lineman Tyler, just Malachi, another DB. Some highlight type guys. How do you feel about this new Bama regime going into the season?
I'm good. I'll admit that I was a little bit nervous after Nick Saban retired because you don't know who's going to follow him. But with DeBoer and what he's done, bringing the staff that he has, keeping the guys there has been outstanding. So I actually feel good about the relationships he's building with the team, like I said, with the staff and the community. It's been good, so I'm looking forward to something that happened. Might be a little magical in Tuscaloosa this year.
I like that. So before we get to your podcast that you got going on, let's talk about some Cowboy history real quick, man, because, young me, teenager, just being a diehard Cowboys fan and just seeing the team be successful, right? You were part of that success. I just got to ask, man, because a guy that I look at as a safety should be in the Hall of Fame, Darren Woodson,
yes, sir.
Your teammate. Can you give me a story of something about him, man? Because I don't think a lot of people realize how great he was. And you a guy that literally was right there with him in that back. You were the free safety, strong safety. Y'all were back there doing your thing for all those years together.
Yeah, man, that means a lot to me. I'm pretty close to Darren Woodson, and I've been an advocate for him as a player anyway, and trying to get him into the Hall of Fame. So not saying this in a slight way, one way or another, but more of in a positive way. I played with Leroy Butler from the Green Bay Packers, and I played with Darren Woodson. And so when I look at them as players, Darren Woodson has some strengths that Leroy Butler didn't have. They both are very good around the line of scrimmage. They both can make things happen there. But I've never been around a safety like Darren Woodson, called him Woody, who's that big, that fast, and could cover not just the tight ends, the wide receivers, and things, and that was an additional plus. So even if you just look at their numbers, just go back and study their numbers, Leroy Butler, Darren Woodson, they're so identical. I'm like, man, it is time for Woody to get in.
I love it. So you talk about playing with Green Bay, historic franchise. Obviously playing at Lambeau probably was just unreal. But then you put the star on your helmet, right? And just can you explain to people just playing for the Dallas Cowboys? It's more than just being a football player, right? Because everywhere you go, you're a celebrity. Things have changed. Just talk about that time playing for the Cowboys briefly. And I do have a follow-up question with another one of your DB members that was in that backfield with you in the secondary. But just talk about being a Cowboy and what that meant for you, because, you know, in history books, I'm pretty sure people don't realize you were a great safety for the Packers, but we all know when we look at 31, it comes from the Cowboys, George Teague comes up first.
Well, my best playing days, personally, were here with the Dallas Cowboys. And that's because of the guys that I was around. Kevin Smith, Primetime, Woody, Rock Marion was there before I got there. Or when I first came in, there's so many guys on defense, and not to name what's happening on offense, that gave me a different mindset than you would have. So my love for the Dallas Cowboys started my very first phone call, and that was with Jerry Jones, as a matter of fact, when we was asked first to come. So he don't get enough credit for the relationships he built with the kids. He was very open, direct with me, and saying, hey, if we got to come, if you want to be part of the Dallas Cowboys, this is what I need you to do, and, you know, why all this stuff. So that already set a tone to, like, hey, you know, when you come here, there's already a level of expectation. From the tomorrow when I fly you in, you know, let's get this thing going. So that really led into why I'm still a Cowboy fan, because when you retire and you've played on multiple teams that you love, you got to find out who you want to be a fan of. So we talk about it as a family, brother. My son, my daughter, my wife, who we're going to be fans of, and it was easy to say the Dallas Cowboys because of the relationship I still have with Jerry Jones, Charlotte Jones, the grandkids, you know, going to their weddings, their parties, their things, and it was so many things outside of football that made it fun.
I love it, man. So another guy that you mentioned, Prime. I mean, we're talking about, in my opinion, the greatest cornerback ever to play a football game, in my opinion, right? Just his dynamic and just seeing him being a coach. I knew he was coaching high school out here. I didn't know he would go to the college game, but it seems like the kids are gravitating to him. And I don't know if the kids really realize the greatness of Deion as a football player. They know him as Coach Prime, but for you saw Prime time. And just can you talk about being able to play with a guy, how I won't say your life was easy, but the fact that he was outside, you looked over there, 21s on the other side, you didn't have too much to worry about.
Oh, no. And I liked it because he was very direct with me, too, and he said, don't help me here, help me there. So I knew exactly where he wanted to be, even if it meant being in the wrong place. Coach Mike Zimmer didn't like that sometimes because he would tell me, George, don't do that. This is what I'm going to do. Let me be me. You help me in these other kind of areas. So that was fun for me as a safety. But I got to be able to see him coach. I've coached against him. So I'm in high school here. Our kids played against each other as well. And so it's kind of cool to see where he's at now, because I learned from him as a player too. Right? We're talking about that. And what I learned from him was that I saw how he studied film, how he broke down people. And I knew I couldn't beat him, you know, athletically, but I did see where he said, hey, you got to look at their feet. You got to look at, there's so many different tails to give you that. And that's probably why I stayed in the league for 9 years, just because I was able to get a jump on folks.
I love it. And the last Cowboy I want you to talk about, I know them practices were crazy at Valley Ranch, but there was a guy on the offensive side, Michael Irvin, the playmaker. Yeah. How intense was it to be out there with that guy? Because you hear the stories that the leader, he was the heart and soul. Just being able to look across the field and you got to deal with that guy in practice. I mean, it made you obviously better as a player, having to face those all-time Troy, Emmett, but just Mike. What was he like as a player?
This is the easiest way for me to kind of talk about that, because he ran his mouth and he talked so much trash and all that kind of stuff. I got it, right? But what I learned about who he was actually in the off season. So it's hot. We're all in shorts and we're working out. You know, you run some routes or whatever. This dude, he woke me up because he was the only one when we were running sprints. He would go put on his shoulder pads, his helmet, and put in his mouthpiece and run his sprints like that. And I was like, man, what is it really? And he was like, bro, if you're going to play in the game, I need to be going full speed. I need to know how I'm going to breathe and what I'm going to do. And that gave me a different kind of outlook on, him. That's why you get to be Hall of Fame, that kind of stuff, because nobody else on the team did it. We had a lot of stuff, but that showed me his work ethic, and you can't deny it when you see the results he had in the game.
I love it, man. So last NFL question before we get into the podcast. This generation of safeties. If you did a Mount Rushmore for safeties in the NFL, who would be your four?
Current guys?
Oh, no, just all time. Because I think like Minka Fitzpatrick's on his way. I've done this question with a lot of players that play that position. Ed Reed comes to mind, Ronnie Lott. But, I mean, for you, who would it be for you?
Well, Ed Reed automatically goes up to the top. I just think that the big plays that he always made, intercepting the ball, it's just unbelievable kind of stuff. I'm drawing a blank on the guy's name to play with the Philadelphia Eagles.
Brian Dawkins?
Brian Dawkins, man. I love Brian Dawkins. Just the energy.
Calm down, Cowboy fans. It's okay.
Yeah, it's about players or whatnot. When you're talking about stuff like that. And it sounds weird, I guess, because there's all the rivalries.
I was thinking that, like, you picking some guys that we got to.
Well,
so we got Ed, we got Brian.
Okay, I'll shock you with this one. Palomau.
Oh, it's not shocking. He's on the Oh man, Steelers now. Okay.
That's what I'm saying.
Okay.
It's one of those.
Okay. And last.
And you're stealing my thunder because you were already saying this stuff. And I actually have his jersey at his house. It is Ronnie Lott. But that's another one, right? 49ers again that we don't necessarily get along with. But all these guys have these traits and these things, that just I personally looked at and said, how do I get a little piece of that? Now I played with some good ones, like I said.
Yeah.
I played with, Woody and Butler, early. So I got to see a lot of talent. But, man, when you just see guys snatching the ball one hand, Ed Reed, taking it back 100 yards, I want to do that. I want to be able to hit, do something crazy. I want to be able to blitz all these guys. How do you jump over somebody on the snap and sack the quarterback? It's unbelievable.
All right, man. Last question for me, and actually it's not so much of a question, but, obviously you did your coaching thing, but now you're in the podcast world.
Yes, sir.
Can you just talk about that and just how's the transition been for you? And tell everybody where they can find that and how we can listen to that.
All right. So 4 years ago, I started a podcast called Teague's Take. I love it, mainly because my son is a co-host, JT, so it's kind of cool to be their father-son deal, and he is a coach as well. And so we are on YouTube. We shoot on Wednesday nights, and we're heavy Alabama football, pretty much.
Okay.
Our difference is, our niche is, we show film. We break down film because we're both coaches, so we try to give an analytical view of why that play was really good, maybe why it didn't, because all of us are quarterback coaches and quarterbacks and everything else, but because we've played, because we've coached, because we have a relationship with people, we try to tell the truth about what it is. So we do pregame and postgame breakdown of Alabama and their opponents of that. YouTube, it's going to be really, really good. It's next year I do it. I would love if your people would just give us a follow, subscribe to our channel on YouTube, because Season 5 starts August the 21st. We'll have a new look too, so you'll jump into something pretty special.
I'm excited now. Now I can do some more film study. George, man, I appreciate your time. This has been an honor. Everyone, be sure to subscribe to the YouTube channel for him and everything. And I know he mentioned some non-Cowboys for his Mount Rushmore. It's fine. They're not playing anymore. They're legends. But, George, man, it's been an honor and pleasure. Thank you for what you've done for the sport of football.
So let me give you this. You ain't asked me, but I just want to say, because people ask me this, and your people probably want to know, because they always ask me about running backs. I play with Emmett, right? All kind of stuff, and I love him. Most people ask me about who my favorite running back is. This will make you mad again, too, because I played against... No, it's not so weird. It's because I played against Barry Sanders.
Okay.
When I was with the Packers.
Yeah, he was in your division.
And I didn't want to tackle that dude.
Well, it's hard to tackle him.
You couldn't get to him anyway, right? So, although I have all the utmost respect for Emmett. He is cool. I got a coach's son when I was at the Shelton School before he went to Jesuit. Barry Sanders, that's a bad man. Y'all check him out.
I love it. I love it. I love it, man.
Thank you.
Everybody, this is a legend. This is my guy, George Teague. Be sure to follow him. We're going to have to do a part 2 one day because I definitely got some more great questions for him, man. George, I appreciate you, man. Thank you so much, sir.
All right, man.
Thank you.